That $300 Milwaukee impact driver and that $89 Ryobi sitting right next to it at Home Depot are made by the same company, same owner, same factories, same supply chain. And DeWalt, same story. DeWalt, Craftsman, Black & Decker, all one corporation. Two companies control the entire American tool industry, and they have been charging you triple for what comes off the same production line in the same Chinese factory. But one company figured this out, and what they are doing right now is something these corporations cannot stop. Let me show you exactly how deep this goes. There is a company called Techtronic Industries, TTI. Most people have never heard of them, but TTI owns Milwaukee, Ryobi, and Hart Tools. The budget Hart brands sold at Walmart and the premium Milwaukee that professionals swear by come from the same corporate parent. They share research, development, and supply chains. On the other side, there is Stanley, Black & Decker, a $15.8 billion corporation that owns DeWalt, Craftsman, Black & Decker, Porter Cable, Irwin, and Mac Tools. When you walk into a Home Depot and see DeWalt on the top shelf, Craftsman in the middle, and Black & Decker on the bottom, you think you are choosing between three companies. You are not. You are choosing between three price tags from the same corporation designed to capture every dollar in your wallet. It is exactly what Toyota does with the Corolla and the Lexus. Same engineering, completely different prices. But here's the part that should really bother you. These so-called competing brands do not even make their own tools. They outsource to factories in China called OEMs. Those OEMs build tools for multiple brands on the same production lines using the exact same molds. There are factories where a Ryobi reciprocating saw and a Bosch reciprocating saw roll off the same assembly line. Same motor, same steel, same everything. The only difference is the color of the housing and the logo on the side. That Bosch costs you $60 more for a sticker. And it is not just reciprocating saws, belt sanders, angle grinders, drill presses. Entire categories of tools are coming out of the same handful of factories in Guangdong province, rebranded and repriced for different shelves in different stores. One OEM called Ningbo Gumi, also known as Keystone Electrical, actually shows pictures of their generic tools on their website. If you compare them side by side with tools from Bosch, Black & Decker, and Ryobi, the resemblance is not subtle. It is almost identical. That is how deep the illusion goes. So if the same factory builds tools for Milwaukee for $300 and for Ryobi for $89, what exactly are you paying for? The answer is marketing, Super Bowl ads, NASCAR sponsorships, and the color yellow on a DeWalt box. Not a better tool. But one company decided to skip the entire game. Harbor Freight does not pay for stadium naming rights. They do not sponsor racing teams. They do not run Super Bowl ads. Instead, they took all of that money and did something that is now terrifying the entire tool industry. They built a three-tier product system designed to compete at every price level. At the bottom, Warrior and Chicago Electric cover casual projects. In the middle, Bauer targets the DeWalt and Ryobi mid-range directly. And at the top, this is where it gets dangerous, Hercules, Icon, and Daytona. These are not budget tools anymore. The Hercules 20-volt cordless drill has a 4.7 star rating across thousands of reviews, and it costs $80 less than the DeWalt equivalent. The Icon ratchets were tested in independent destruction tests against Snap-on. Snap-on broke first. A Harbor Freight ratchet outlasted a tool that cost 3 times as much. Snap-on actually sued Harbor Freight over the Daytona floor jack because it looked too similar to their own model. Think about that. A brand that charges thousands of dollars for tools felt so threatened by a Harbor Freight product that it took Harbor Freight to court. That does not happen if you are making cheap junk. It happens when you are making something good enough to scare a billion-dollar brand. And that is just the hand tools. Wait until you hear what is happening behind the scenes, because the tools are only half the story. Harbor Freight now operates over 1,500 stores across the United States. They are opening new locations faster than Home Depot or Lowe's in small-town markets. And they built a distribution center in Joliet, Illinois, larger than 15 football fields, run almost entirely by robots. Goods are sorted, classified, and shipped in days instead of weeks. Lower operating costs, better inventory, prices that the big brands simply cannot match. This changes everything. While DeWalt and Milwaukee are still importing the majority of their tools from China, Harbor Freight has already started shifting production to Mexico, Vietnam, and Malaysia. Shorter shipping times, lower tariff exposure, and better quality control on their premium lines. They saw what was coming with trade restrictions, and they moved first. DeWalt and Milwaukee are still figuring out their response. So let me put this in perspective. DeWalt and Milwaukee are owned by massive corporations that spend billions on marketing, manufacture in the same OEM factories as budget brands, and charge you a 300% markup for a logo. Harbor Freight skips the marketing, controls its own supply chain, and passes the savings directly to you. That is not a small advantage. That is a structural advantage. Now, I am not saying every Harbor Freight tool beats every Milwaukee. If you are a professional contractor running tools 8 hours a day, Milwaukee brushless motors and DeWalt FlexVolt batteries genuinely matter. But here's the reality for 90% of you watching this. You are not running these tools 8 hours a day. You are a weekend do-it-yourselfer, a homeowner, or a small-scale contractor. And for that use case, paying $300 for a drill because it says Milwaukee on the side when a Hercules does the same job for $80 less is not smart shopping. It is brand loyalty overriding common sense, and the market is proving it. After years of inflation, Americans are entering 2026 with a new mindset. Every dollar has to be justified. That $300 Milwaukee used to be an automatic purchase. Now people are asking, is this really 3 times better? When they test it, the answer is usually no. This is exactly what happened in the automotive industry 20 years ago. People laughed at Hyundai and Kia. They called them cheap junk. Today, Hyundai owns Genesis, one of the fastest-growing luxury brands in America. Harbor Freight is following the exact same playbook. The big tool brands are making the same mistake Detroit made. They are underestimating the competition until it is too late. This is why Harbor Freight is accelerating while the legacy brands are scrambling. Home Depot introduced more affordable house brands. Lowe's is expanding Cobalt. Milwaukee even released a budget lineup designed to undercut their own pricing. They see what is coming. The question is whether they can respond fast enough. Because Harbor Freight is not slowing down. 1,500 stores today, 1,700 projected by end of 2026, a fully automated supply chain, a product lineup that gets better every single year. The companies that built the American tool industry are now being beaten by a brand they spent decades laughing at, and they cannot stop it. But I want to know what you think. Are you still loyal to DeWalt or Milwaukee, or have you already made the switch to Harbor Freight? Drop it in the comments. If you want to see the 15 specific Harbor Freight tools that are beating the big brands in head-to-head tests, that video is right here. And if you want to know the real reason Harbor Freight can sell tools this cheap, this video breaks down the entire business model. Subscribe to Retail Recon so you do not miss what is coming next.